Howdy, everybody. It's 10:30. Hannah is invisible today because her webcam isn't working.
You can't
Amy,
see it, but I'm waving to you guys.
pardon?
They can't see it, but I'm waving to them.
Oh, okay. Virtual waves. Amy is our guest today. I have some wonderful photos that she sent me. I know we always start out with the beginning of joy rides. So, Amy, do you want to start with your joy ride or rides for the beginning?
I do. So, as you know, I am teaching, or I'm moved to a district level position for my school district where I am um, uh, working with computer science K-12. So I've been
Mhm.
spending a lot of time in elementary schools. And
I'm trying to find out how to. There we go.
no,
There we
I'll
go.
keep going. I'll keep going. Okay.
We're good now.
Yeah, so I've been spending a lot of time in elementary schools, and it has been like such a joy because these little kids, like I'll walk into their classroom to help them. They've been like immediately coming up and giving me hugs and
That's so
drawing
cute.
me pictures.
We ones
And
are so wonderful.
yeah, it's been amazing. So at one school I helped, there's a product called Makey, which is basically a circuit board, and you can use everyday objects as to close the circuit. And
Uh-huh.
so I was working with the kids on that. And so on their computer screen, they had these bongos, and we used their bodies as the circuit. So they would high five each other and it would play the bongos on the computer. And so that was really fun. Well, at the end of the day, the first class that I worked with, a couple of the students came in and they brought me a notebook of filled with letters from the class thanking me for coming in and teaching the lesson and inviting me back. And it just, I told them, I'm like, oh, I think I might cry because it was just so beautiful. It was just so nice.
Well, you are
That's
such
so
a light.
poor.
You just light up a room anyway, and I
Thank
mean
you.
it's oh, and that's the neat thing about younger ones. They don't have the behave. It's like I just love you, and they let
Right. It's like,
anything else.
no, that's just been the joy that has been carrying me through. I was telling my colleagues when I was showing them the book, I said, as a high school teacher, you don't get things like this. I said, if I had students like writing me letters all the time, I would probably still be in the classroom because this was like, it just literally filled my bucket. It was so nice.
Usually, when you're a teacher for older students, you hear about it 20 and 30 years later.
Right. Yes.
You really have changed. Well, you're still waiting for that, so you're on the in between times.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm
Okay.
trying to find glasses that aren't going to glare, but I guess they're all going to glare. So
You're okay. Hannah,
Looks fine to me.
did you have one or two or three joy rides you want to share?
Yeah, I have a couple joy rides. So for almost 3 years now, I've been getting semi-frequent headaches.
Uh-huh.
We finally got in to see a doctor after narrowing it down to like 3 possibilities of what it could be. We talked to him. He agrees with us, put me on some kind of a medication. This is like less than a week ago.
Uh-huh.
And I haven't had as much headaches as I have.
Yay.
So I'm like, finally, that first step to getting, I guess you could say, back to normal.
And then
So
you have two other ones too.
yes. Next month in March, I and my family, we are going on a cruise, our first cruise, and it is a Disney cruise.
yay.
We are really looking forward to that.
And you're going to Mexico?
Yes.
Do you know what ship you're on?
Something like that.
Amy asked, do you know what ship you're on?
I want to say The Magic.
Yes.
Have
I
you
was
been?
on that. It's awesome. You're going to love it.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
And-
What?
And your other thing was your fan expo?
Yes, I may be going to Fan Expo Philly, which is happening June 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. So if anyone from the East Coast, wants to go there,
Oh,
awesome.
and I will need a co-host for that weekend then, I believe. I think that's one of our ever new weekends.
Yeah.
Well, it's a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Can you put you in June? Amy, would you like to?
Right. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Hannah, there's the Fan Expo is coming through Portland, Oregon this month. And I'm like, I desperately want to go, but I have so many things on my calendar. I'm like, oh. Yeah. So I'm glad you get to go and tell us all about it.
Because she says it's everything, sci-fi, fantasy, everything.
Or even Dr. Seuss.
Oh, yeah. How cool is that? And you can't get away, Amy?
No, well, I mean, I suppose I could. It would probably be easier if I had somebody to actually go with,
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got quite a few projects that I'm doing for my crafting business, and so yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to.
Is it Portland?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
So it's not that far away. Like I could go down for the Saturday, but
right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Have
well,
you ever been to one?
Not the Fan Expo. Mm-mm.
I
haven't either.
Yeah.
Well, I have a couple of joyrides. My sister, who I share this home with, it's actually kind of like a duplex. She got a new puppy.
Oh.
And this puppy
kind.
is so freaking cute. I can't go get her right now because I'm doing a show. But I'll give you here's a picture of her.
Oh.
And the picture doesn't do her justice. She is absolutely, like a little popcorn right now at this age. She just pops all over the place, when she's awake. And then, of course, wears herself out and falls over upside down and falls asleep. But she's an absolute hoot.
Does she have a name yet?
Yeah, her name is Hope because my mom's birthday was in the year she was born. She was born on Thanksgiving Day. And this past Thanksgiving Day is when this puppy was born. And so she named her Hope after Mom always said if she ever came back, if there was reincarnation, if she ever came back, she wanted to come back as one of our pets. Well, this is perfect. We got a Thanksgiving Day puppy. Let's name her Hope. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The DeForest Kelley collection auction is going to super, super well because the people who are getting the clothes are actual fans, many of whom I've known for years and years.
Oh,
so I'm amazing. So happy that it's working out the way I was hoping it would. I didn't want people to, do it and resell. I wanted people who would truly cherish these things. And oh my gosh, lots of people from UK and Germany and British Columbia and just everywhere have come in and gotten some treasures. So I'm really happy about that. You mentioned Dr. Seuss, both of you did. I'm going to do Read Across America on March 2nd, which is Dr. Seuss Day also. I'm going to go to Shining Mountain Elementary, where all those kids are so happy.
Yes.
Let you know how happy they are. I did this a few years ago, and I read 2 Dr. Seuss books, which I'm going to read again. I'm going to read Oh, the Places You'll Go, and Horton Hears a Hoot. And when I read Oh, the Places You'll Go last time, the kids were just so excited. I haven't read that before. I have to get that book.
That's adorable.
And what I did is I listened to John Lithgow read that online and went, okay, I get it. We really want to punch these certain things, and it works really, really well. So, and is that it? No. These other 2 things we're going to mention while I'm talking with Amy. So we'll go along with that. Let's pull up some comments here. I have lots and lots and lots of highs. Hi, Janet in UK, John in
Hello.
Atlanta, Jano in Illinois. Did I screw that up again? I hope not. Midwest. Janet, hi, John. And John says, Amy, I've been waiting for you to come back for so long, and the wait has been well worth it. She is so like your mom. Yes, my sister looks an awful lot like my mom did. So, all righty. That's it so far as comments. Thank you for being here, everybody. This is a special, special day. Amy sent me some amazing photos. So
A lot of photos.
we're going to jump right into those. But one thing I want to for sure and mention is Amy has just been put on the board of directors for the Nichelle Nichols Foundation. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So as many of you probably know, Nichelle was a true champion of diversity in STEM related fields, and especially she worked very closely with NASA to recruit people into the astronaut program, and including Mae Jemison, who Chris, talking about Read Across America, I am doing that as well, and am going to be reading a little book about Mae Jemison, so I'm very excited about that. But the foundation was set up to really help inspire underrepresented people, girls, people of color, to enter STEM fields. And tomorrow they are hosting a panel on Facebook of scientists who were inspired to become scientists because of their love of Star Trek.
Oh, how cool is that?
Yeah.
Do you
so
have
that's
awesome. Do you have the URL so people can?
I don't, but I can find it.
Okay.
But so that should be really good, and I'm just excited because it really makes a lot of sense with what I'm doing in my day job, because I am going to help find curricular resources, for my day job. I'm finding curricular resources for teachers, for the foundation, for parents, to help them encourage their children to engage in STEM activities.
And your title there on the board is it's about STEM. It's about lab computer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and that's my I'm a computer science consultant teacher.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're using everything you know and making that all happen. That's very exciting.
Yeah, and what'll be exciting is, as more and more donations come into the foundation, we'll be able to turn around and immediately give those to organizations and schools. And the eventual, one of our goals is to get some girls to space camp.
All right.
That's awesome.
This is the URL to the Nichelle Nichols Foundation. That's where you can go to read up more on this, and where you can go to donate. So please help support this if to your ability, and tell other people about it. Share this on your Facebook pages so that we can get in as much help as we can financial to make this thing happen. Mm-hmm. Oh, and one more thing, I want to give you an update on Celestis. I think I did last time, but not everybody watches every time. The Tranquility Enterprise flight has now been rescheduled. Again, it's tentative. It depends on making sure all the tests go right, and that the weather is right, and all of that stuff. Everything has to be right at Cape Canaveral. But right now, they have it scheduled for late March.
Oh.
So, and you can keep tabs on that at celestis.com, which I just put up here. And I'll try to remember to put the Nichelle Nichols Foundation and this up a couple of times during our time today to remind you. So,
perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so now let's get up here into the pictures. As last time we were here, Amy shared this photo with us.
Yes, because I'm such a huge Patrick Stewart fan, and they just had their celebration of the third season of Picard. I think was that last night that they
I don't know.
had the big premiere in California.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so final season of Picard is coming out, and it will be interesting to see how they end this story, and for the Enterprise cast, because the majority of I said Enterprise, I meant Next Generation. Next Generation cast is on this series, so yeah, I'm super excited about it.
Oh, I want to bring up one more thing. Helen and the folks in New Zealand are under typhoon watch.
Ooh.
Yeah, one of their daughters got flooded out like 2 or 3 weeks ago when a typhoon came in, and it looks like another one's coming in today. So I don't know if they'll be coming here or if they're battening down the hatches, but I wish them all the absolute best getting through that.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty unusual for Auckland, but that's what's happening right now with them.
Wow.
So keep them in your best wishes and prayers and everything like that they get through unscathed.
Are they okay? Like, are they hurt or?
No, they're okay. They're okay. Again, she says, I'm glad. It's too bad I sold my kayak.
Oh,
Because
they have a sense of humor.
It's got a great sense of humor. It's got a great sense of humor about it. But yeah, her daughter got flooded wherever she was a couple of weeks ago, and this one coming in is just about as bad, if not worse. So I'm holding all good thoughts for them.
Dang.
Absolutely.
And here's another one from last time.
Yes. Okay, so take a look at my eyebrows in this picture. And I will circle back to this when we talk about some of the other pictures.
All right.
But these little girls this is the girl on the left is Tim Russ's daughter, and the girl in the middle
to your immediate right in the picture.
To my far right is Tim Russ's daughter, and then to the immediate right is Sky Conway's, the producer's daughter.
Okay, adorable.
Yeah, I know. They're all grown up now.
Oh, yes. Have you seen them recently?
No, I haven't.
Oh. Okay, now we're going to go into the costume department and other things.
Okay. So here we're going to now look at my face in this picture.
Yes.
I'm so sorry, but
stop. You're adorable.
Why are you sorry?
Because okay, like I just have to tell this story because I have not had luck with makeup artists in my Star Trek experiences. So on the set of God and Men, they like had the worst time with my eyebrows because they're so bushy, which you can see here. So finally I just got to the point where I'm like, just shave them, just shave the eyebrows and draw them in. So they shaved half of my eyebrows so that they could draw in the Vulcan eyebrows. And so because I just wanted to get out, like I was missing scenes, like I wanted to be in as many scenes as possible. Okay. So then on Enterprise, they told us to, come without makeup. And the first thing that we would do would be to go to makeup, and they'd do our hair and makeup. Well, we had because this was when the sphere builders were basically destroying the ship, and we had to, or a planet, and we had to get close to the planet to stop it from being destroyed. And so our skin was cracking. And when I'm sitting in the makeup chair, and he puts this stuff on my face, and then he's like, okay. And I'm like, we're not done, are we? And he's like, yeah, they want it to look natural. And I'm like, this does not look natural. I'm like this does not match my skin color. Like, I
Right.
get that you don't want me
Right.
in glamour makeup, but could
Right.
you at least make it look like it's part of my own skin? And so he's like, no, it'll be okay. And so I was like, well, okay, I guess maybe they'll fix it in post-production, which seems really expensive. I don't get why you would do that. So I went back down to costuming. And eventually, because we started our tour, and eventually somebody pulled me aside and was like, okay, you need to go back up to makeup. And I'm like, you think? like I told you that like an hour ago. Okay.
Totally.
And so they took me back up to makeup, and it definitely gets better. But this was my costumer. So if you want to, oh, and look, you can see behind my right shoulder all the scripts.
Yes.
Oh, I just wanted to
Wow.
pull those down and look through them. But yeah, if you want to go to the next picture, I don't
Alrighty.
know what's next, but
I was looking at comments. I got Illinois wrong. It's Minocqua, Wisconsin is where Jado is. Okay, here we go.
Okay, so now in the costume shop, so I think I mentioned last time about, being like on the chubby side for acting. So they had to take a male uniform and like I don't know what she did, but she worked her magic to make it fit my body type because it was definitely not made for my body type. But it was really nice to have somebody like such a professional that could, take some measurements, and then boom, she just whipped it out in, I don't even remember how long it was, but it was not very, very much time.
Wow.
Considering all the alterations she had to do on that costume to make it work for me. Yeah, so that was really nice. And while she was doing that, we got to tour the costume shop. And the costume shop is massive. And so these are the space suits, and you can see on the second hanger that is for Connor. So Connor Cheniers.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the other.
The one in front says Scott. It says Cott.
Oh, okay. So yeah, Scott Bakula's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but those costumes are really expensive.
Yeah, they look it.
Yeah. So
are they hot? I mean, you don't know, you weren't in it. Did anybody mention them being
yeah, well, I think that they do have a cooling system, and you can kind of see some of the ribbing on front, but I actually think that's part of the cooling system, which is part of what makes it expensive. But yeah, even with that, I think that they're still really, really hot.
Are movie lights as hot as they used to be in the past, or have they been in some way mitigated since
I think
melt?
From my observations on set, it was not that bad. So, and honestly, and we'll see later when we look at some of the shots, like I don't even know where the cameras were. Like, because a lot of times you'll see filming and the camera's like right up in the actor's face. But these, I think, were like some of them were just built into the set. Yeah, it was pretty fascinating. But then if you keep going, I think there's some. Okay, so then once we got the costume sorted out, and that was my my own personal insecurities, like that was definitely the the hardest part for me because of just going on a set and knowing that the costume wasn't going to fit right. But um like they helped really like alleviate that stress for me. So then by the time that I got into hair and makeup, I was just having so much fun just being in that space and experiencing what these people see every day going going to work. Like this is their job, and I'm like, this is so cool.
The first time I went to Hollywood, I kind of went with an idea of I just want to see what they do. I just want to, go see the people doing their stuff. And that was the first time I really thought, oh, these are not angels. These are not superhumans. These are people who are just doing what they love.
Doing their
And at
job.
that point, I
Yep.
thought, I think I want to try to get into Hollywood. And then, of course, I got help from you to do it. But it was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I mean, I could sort of work there. Yeah, and then I ended up
Mhm.
working there. But it was, you always put these people in a category other than yourself,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
when you get to actually get backstage or watch people, the craftspeople working, you can go, oh, okay. Ah. And another thing is I probably never would have gotten hired at a studio if I did treat actors and other producers and directors like anything other than human beings, because they wouldn't have let you in there,
Right.
You have to be able to, behave and figure everybody puts their pants on one leg at a time, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it was really a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for me to go, oh, hey, I think I can do this. And within 2 years, I was down there doing it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, guys, don't
Well,
ever. Yes, go.
I was just going to say, and that's the thing that, so many people focus on the actors, and it's like there is such a village that creates these shows, and they're all so important to the process, and the actors are the ones that get all the attention. And it's like, we need to be given attention to, the magic that is made in, in costuming and set building. And later on, I have a picture of one of the crew members, but it's like, these people work hard. They work long, long hours.
The other, the other
go
thing
ahead.
that got me when I wanted to be a writer, my dad kept saying, get your head out of the clouds, keep your feet on the ground. What good is writing? And yet he would watch TV, hour after hour after hour. And I go, Dad, you don't suppose that they just show up in front of that thing and go, well, what shall we talk about today? This is not improv. Somebody wrote that stuff,
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah,
Well, and speaking of, so in my first scene, I'm like up on the little catwalk area, right, running the engine of the ship. And Jolene Blaylock and Connor Trenier would walk down the whole length of the engine, turn the corner, stop and talk right in front of me. You can't see, like, you can barely see the back of my legs, but one of like, it was so fascinating to me because Jolene Blaylock wanted to change one word. I think she wanted to add one word, and they had to pause. The script supervisor had to call up to the writer's room, get permission for her to add one word. Like, and it was such a process. And so those, there is no improv. like they have to be word perfect on those scripts because they have to say what the writers wrote.
Except there's a couple of times there are ad libs. Dee said a couple of times he ad libbed something basically to get a laugh. They figured it would be cut, but I guess the writer said keep it in. Because like when they're on the Enterprise and Spock says, be careful, Captain. And Bones says, we will. I mean, that wasn't in the script, He's like, excuse me, hello, who am I? Am I chopped liver? We will. Stuff like that. And I guess the actor said, perfect, leave it, keep it in, you know.
Yeah, that's
So,
awesome.
but you don't
He
ask
also
me-
improvised the "in a pig's eye" line.
Yes, you don't. Yeah, yeah. If you know your character well enough, I guess the writers go, "Yeah, I wrote that." Yeah, I'll claim that one. Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
funny. Okay, here we go. Here's more pictures. Many more pictures.
Okay.
Oh,
Yes. So the sphere builders, so I got to see one scene being filmed with the sphere builders, and it was in a room, like a massive room that had a white backdrop.
uh-huh.
So usually you would see a green screen, but this was all white, and the three sphere builders were like, it was just perfectly choreographed. To like, if you've seen the scene, it's you'll know, because it's just like one shot, but they are coming in and out of the shot, it's very much like a dance.
Mhm.
And so that was exciting to see. And I got to talk with Josette DiCarlo. I think that's how you say her name. But yeah, Josette DiCarlo, who was the main sphere builder. And I'm so bummed out because I did not get a picture with her, but
Oh,
she was hilarious. And, so here she is covered in this entire mask. And so she has to be just like
yeah.
hot and miserable, because especially
Mhm.
like their mouth, it's not like they could be super expressive in their
Right.
face because of all that mask work. But she was just really, really nice and very, very funny.
Hannah, do you have any questions or comments or of Amy as we've been going along here? I want to give you a chance to weigh in here.
What was the hardest part for you personally, being on the set, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, just kind of, I've already talked about it. Like, the hardest part was just my own body insecurity, and not allowing that to diminish the experience. And so I think that, I was able to, once, those first, like, fitting and all that, once that was over, that was good. But like, I didn't eat. I
Uh-huh.
didn't eat all day. We were on set for 12 hours. I didn't eat because there was no way I was going to eat anything in that costume. And we got to go to the commissary. I don't know. Is that what they call it?
Yeah, commissary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we got to go there. So I watched, Bob Rivers and Brian Darcy, who was the Bob Rivers was the KZOK DJ, who, that's where I won the contest. So I got to go with him. And then Brian Darcy was he won it through a charity auction.
Mm-hmm.
And then David Gardner was from UPN, and he like walked us around all day. And so he took us to the commissary. So I just had water and watched them eat, because I'm like, I'm not eating anything.
I've got a comment here. Tim Russ is a really funny guy, even though when he's playing Tuvok, who doesn't have a sense of humor at all.
Right.
I guess you can attest to that. And
Yeah.
John also says on Star Trek Voyager, they were not allowed to change the script.
Right.
Yeah, rarely are they.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that, I've heard interviews with actors that they would go pitch things. Like, I think especially Bob Picardo on Voyager would pitch a lot of things for the Doctor to do and say. And so I think if they had a good relationship with the writers, they could probably, get some things changed. But for the most part, like, they have to, because of, it's the writers union, they want to ensure that their words are said with fidelity.
Right.
So
All right.
Okay. So, and I don't know which actress this is in the Sphere Builder makeup, but behind her is in the chair. That is Brian, the charity auction winner, and then taking his photo was David Gardner from UPN. He was really nice because he was kind of our not only our handler that day, but he was our photographer. And he was super, super sweet. And everybody was like, they all knew we were coming and they were so welcoming. And I was like, I feel like a star. Like we got star treatment all day long. And, I was like, "Ooh, I can get used to this. This is very nice." So,
well, they really hold fans in high regard, and they figured,
yeah.
I always say, who's paying your paycheck? It's the fact that fans. There are so many fans out there. Yeah. So
yes,
the actors that aren't full of themselves understand that, and they really do make you feel, beloved.
Yeah,
it's finally a chance for them to meet new people too, and get to know some of their fans.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So this was one of the makeup artists and holding the cracked skin. So he would just cut off pieces, and like one got put on my face, one got put on my hand. And so I think in the next picture, so there it is on getting made up on Bob Rivers. Okay, so can we just go back to the makeup again? Look.
Which one? The one immediately before?
No, this one. Just my story about my makeup artist and how I'm so unlucky. You can see this guy.
It looks like it fits him.
He's literally painting it to match the color of his skin. Yeah. He's adding in those red highlights. Like you can see Brian in the background. They're doing the same thing. Mine was just a white piece of plastic tacked onto my face. I'm like, what's happening?
Someone doesn't know what they're doing.
These people also have been in the sun a lot more, and up here in the Pacific Northwest, we're not that much. You're a lot paler than these folks.
Right, I'm so pale.
You're just more pale.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the difference between the two of you here. It's just when I was down in California, I had to be really careful because I could get sunburned. And you did too.
Right.
Because you've got to protect your skin.
Yeah. So it reminds me because Shran would always call humans pink skins. I am definitely a pink skin.
So am I.
Yep.
Talk about pale face. I'm the original pale face.
Right.
Yeah.
Hannah, what were you asking?
No, I was just saying I'm also a pink face, I think.
Yeah, we're really, really pale faces. Okay, Here we go. Here's another one.
Okay. So so then we got to see them. So this makeup artist was so using an airbrush to paint the Zindi. So this is a reptilian Zindi. And just the fine detail. I mean, look at that. Like, it's so incredible, the number of colors on that mask.
Is this it?
Yeah. So it's just, that was amazing. And so the other cool thing about the fact that I had to go back up into makeup while the other guys were continuing the tour, which I'm a little bummed out about that, but the makeup artist who worked on me when I got back up there, we were talking about, how much of a lifelong Star Trek fan I am. And he was like, "Ooh, I have something to show you." He's like, "You can't take pictures." And I'm like, "Okay." And so he took me into this back closet and I got to see the original Gorn head
Whoa.
mask. I got to see Data's head that had the opening with the circuit board in there, and I'm like, this is the coolest experience of my life.
You couldn't take a picture.
I couldn't take pictures, but yeah,
it's there in your memory.
yes, it is. Yeah, so then you have the Suliban and other aliens, and look at that one on the like left. It's very gross. The alien has some issues, but look at all of those masks.
Wow.
And then the actor in the chair is one of their you know, day player, or probably not a day player, but an extra that is on the set all the time. Like you see, you know, you can kind of see those extras that are part of the cast, and we get to see them in a lot of different scenes. Okay. We have a couple comments maybe before going on from John.
Let's see. Okay, John says, oh my goodness, UPN, I remember that network. John says, I listened to the Delta Flyers podcast and I learned about the scripts, etc., with Garrett Wang and Robbie Duncan McNeil. Garrett played Harry Kim and Robbie played Tom Paris.
Yeah, John, I love the Delta Flyers podcast. They are so good. Like, and if for those of you that maybe you weren't Voyager fans, I highly recommend it. They're going through each episode and they'll watch it and then they'll talk about the episode and share their stories of what they remember from filming. And especially for those of you that are aspiring actors or directors, it's a great one to listen to because, you know, Robert Duncan McNeil transitioned from acting into directing while he was on Voyager, and just the process that the actors go through to become a director, really interesting.
Mm-hmm. And John says airbrushing is a painstaking process and it isn't easy. Yeah, I tried it once. I laughed myself right out of the room. I didn't do a very good job of it. That takes a lot of skill.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, let's go back up here too.
Okay. Yeah. So, go back to the last one.
Okay.
Okay. So, this was before I got or maybe it was after. This might have been after. I think my makeup looks a little bit more normal there. But anyway, so Bob and Brian really entertained my nerdiness by posing with me like we were actually in a scene. So
very cool.
Yeah, so I love this photo. Yep. And then here I was doing my best rendition of Ensign Sato at communications. And then, and okay, so look at the behind his head, you can see the scorching.
Yes.
So we were filming the last episode of season 3, Zero Hour. So it was, I think the episode right before this was Azadi Prime, where the ship was being fired on, so there's so much damage, and so that's what you're looking at, is that they just had to basically dress the sets to make it look damaged. Yeah. And there's me in the captain's chair.
Every Trekkie's dream.
Yes, it's so true. It is so true. Yep. And then there's just more scenes and sets. And it's just like just a detail,
yes.
you know? And
Yes.
I can imagine as an actor with all that detail that it just helps with the bringing your role to life because it feels so immersive when you
Yes.
sit down in that chair and you have all these buttons that you can play with.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then this was part of the set that I did not get to see in person because I was up in makeup, but luckily Bob Rivers and Brian took photos for me, and
Mhm.
we all shared our photos together. But because the medical bay was not being used for this episode, everything's covered in plastic.
Mhm.
And then you can see that on some of the other scenes. I think the 10 forward, or I don't know that they called it 10 forward on Enterprise. I think they just called it the mess hall,
Uh-huh.
probably. Yeah. Oh, but there is our group photo with our, and this was a professional photo by the photographer on set. So they kind of color corrected my uniform, even though the actual fabric was a little bit more purple.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then that is in part of engine. No, I don't think that was in engineering. I don't think I got to see that part of the set. But again,
It looks like a warhead of some kind.
yeah. So maybe it was in engineering. Maybe it was on the side underneath.
Mhm.
I don't know where it was, but it looks cool.
I know where you are here.
Yeah, I got to be in the transporter, which is really funny because on the set, you have this hallway set, and then just right off the hallway set, here's this transporter, and I'm like, isn't there like a door or something? Okay.
Very cool.
Yeah. And then there's Bob Rivers up on the catwalk in engineering because that set is, multi-story.
Uh-huh.
And so again, so many areas to
Is that the area where you were walking when they saw your legs?
no,
No.
I'll show you that in a little
Okay.
bit.
Okay.
But John mentioned in the chat Jolene Blaylock, who played T'Pol. Yep, that was her. Now
Okay.
it was interesting because Connor Trenier was super chatty and came and talked with us a couple of times, and he's actually from Washington State
Yes,
as
he is.
well, which is where Chris and I live.
Uh-huh.
And so it was nice to just get to chit chat with him, but I didn't talk with Jolene at all.
Mhm.
I think she might be a little bit more on the shy or reserved side.
Uh-huh.
Like introverted.
Yeah, yeah. Probably even more so than I am, or maybe it's just the way she works. It might be, she gets into character, she doesn't want to,
Get out.
break out of it to have a chit chat with a nerdy fan.
I just heard something relatively recently about the Golden Girls that Stella Getty was absolutely paralyzed almost every time she had to do, she would study her lines and she was so afraid of forgetting them. And then they said when you're working under conditions like that, she deserved those Oscars she got because she was literally, practically catatonic before they actually had to go on. She was so afraid she was gonna mess up their thing. Apparently during the whole series, she just was
Wow.
not comfortable on the set or on a live stage at all.
Isn't
That's a
that
shame.
interesting?
That takes real courage.
Yes. Yeah,
And
you have to love, like clearly she loved acting
right.
if she was willing to work through that level of fear every single time.
Absolutely. That's what I thought. I thought that's bravery. That's courage.
Yeah. Well, and I'm wondering too with Jolene, like because they had so much techno babble, like you
Yes.
have to really,
Yes.
because in a play, I'm doing a play, I'm you know, unless it's a Shakespeare play, I'm just talking normally
Right.
like I would. But when you're talking about a science fiction show and you got to remember all these words, and, you know, they're not like us that are super fans that, you know, I have Larry Nemechek's like book of the engine, you know, like they don't have those things, right? They're just actors doing a job. And so they're not as immersed necessarily in that language like some of the fans are.
Yeah.
He had an issue with Mugato. He couldn't say Gumatu. It was supposed to be Gumatu, and Dee couldn't get there, so they said we're going to rename it Mugatu.
Right.
Same with nuclear. He said nuclear, like President Ford. He couldn't get nuclear.
Nuclear.
Nuclear instead of nuclear. And
Yeah.
he just couldn't get there.
Yeah, that's so funny.
The Mugato because he couldn't say Gumatu.
Right.
Okay.
So now here, because at the time I was an English and theater teacher, so I was taking lots of behind the scenes pictures to share with my students of what it's like working on a television set. And so, you know, I took a picture of this crew person, and I had him hold up his tape because all of my tech kids, like, it was a badge of honor. They would get duct tape and put it on their backpack, and that was like their tech pride. And so I had to get a picture of this guy, but you can see it's kind of blurry because he just sort of held it up and then he kept on going because they were working all day. Like, I didn't get there until 10 o'clock in the morning. I left at 10 o'clock at night. They were working many, many hours before I got there. They were still filming scenes by the time I left at 10 o'clock at night. So it's such a long day for that crew. You know, the actors, they get to go escape in their trailers, you know, take a nap or whatever. But these guys are just working so hard.
Yeah.
Oh, and behind him, that's the engine. That's where I was standing. And it's got right now, it's got scaffolding in front of it because they were setting up for a stunt. But yeah, I was up there running the engine.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. And so then after I got back down from makeup, I got to continue on the tour. So we got to walk around the different hallways and sets. Yeah, you can go to the next one.
John says she was playing a Vulcan. She may have wanted to stay in character. Yeah, that's what you thought might
That's
be
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would guess that as well. Okay, and so then that's looking in the other direction.
Okay.
But again, so that's from inside. That's Bob Rivers looking at the shuttle. I took a picture through the door, but yeah. And then there I am on the outside of the shuttle. And going back to the shuttle. So the Shuttle Pod show is a podcast with Connor Trenier, who played Trip, and Dominic Keating, who played Malcolm Reed. Like, what? My brain. But anyway, so their podcast is a little bit different than the Delta Flyers podcast. They're more interviewing actors from not only their show, but other Star Trek shows. And then they're also planning on bringing in like directors and other crew members and so forth. So that's another interesting podcast, especially if you are a Enterprise fan, but it's their podcast. The Shuttle Pod Show is named from their episode Shuttle Pod, where I think Shuttle Pod 1 might have been the name of it, where Trip and Reed were basically dying on the shuttle pod accident, and their experience in that situation. So
I also wanted to remind you, you're going to look up the URL to tomorrow's thing where.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Before we get to the end of here.
Okay.
Do you want to do that now or?
Sure. Well, I can do that while I'm sharing the next photo too.
Right. Oh, wait a minute. We've been there and we've been there.
Yeah. So then Scott was playing or like doing photos with the other winners as well. So that's Brian Darcy. And then the next one is Bob Rivers, I believe.
Okay, I've got Hannah said she got kicked off, so I was.
Okay.
I was rescuing her.
Okay.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and there's Bob Rivers. Okay.
Yeah. You want more? More pictures?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Okay. And there's the three of us. Again, this is one of the professional photos, which is so nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And actually go back to that one. So behind that, again, you can see the different like ladders,
right,
stairs up to, but I think Brian on his scene, I think that I think it was definitely Brian. Like he had to climb down like either that or one of the ladders. And I'm like, oh, I'm so glad that's him and not me.
Yeah. I just got a private chat from you. Is this the thing you want me to do for the?
Yep.
Okay. So let me pull it up here and put it where people can see it. There we go. I will read it.
I think it's covering the pictures covering it. Oh, there we go. Okay. So their YouTube channel is just at Nichelle Nichols Foundation. If you add in streams behind it, that will take you to their live streams. And so they've done one on hailing frequencies, To Boldly Go, which is the children's book about Nichelle Nichols. And then the one tomorrow is the Careers in Science panel.
You know what time?
It says at 10 a.m. Pacific.
Okay. So if you want to tune in, there you go, guys.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Let me come back to, here we go. A few more.
Yep. And so then that's a picture of Bob and myself. And I wish I would have thought to get my picture from the actual episode.
Yeah.
Because basically what happened was that Bob was standing pretty much where he is now doing something. And then I come in underneath the stairs and then go up to a screen and look at the screen and touch it. And so it's a close-up of my face with my cracking skin there. And I was definitely like doing the actor thing because I was like for the AD, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Like who? Okay.
Director.
Yeah. So because who's in charge of the extras?
I'm not sure.
Okay, so whoever
Yeah, I
that
don't know
person
either.
is.
The director. Oh, Hannah might know.
No, I don't know. I would think the director,
Or
since they're
director.
supposed to be in charge of all the actors.
Yeah, I think it might have been an AD, assistant director, because I don't think, because I only got to talk to the director once, but the so assistant director, I was like, when he was setting us up with the scene, I'm like, okay, so what's my motivation?
Uh-huh.
I needed to know. I needed to know
Right.
what am I playing in this scene?
Absolutely.
And so, he like shared with me, and the ship is going to explode. We're trying to, like save the ship. So I'm like, okay, I can play this. So I'm like super intense and walking up to the screen and touching it. And after that one take, he was like, okay, that's great. Now do it with your other hand. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. So again, I played it, used my other hand and looked up a little bit more. And after that, so we only did it twice.
Mhm.
And after that, the director came up to me and said, that was really good. So then I had been talking with one of the extras on the show, and she looked at me and she was like, that was really nice. She's like, the directors don't usually talk to the day
Dang.
players.
That was a high compliment.
Yeah. So I was like, hire me.
Really. I have a similar story. I was working as a secretary at Sony Pictures, I think it was, and one of the voiceover artists didn't show up for this TV show.
Ooh.
And I mean, everybody else was there and ready to go. And the casting director came by my office and she said, Chris, come with me. And I thought, what are you talking to me about? She says, I want you to do a voiceover. Well, first of all, that's like kind of illegal. Don't tell anybody. But it's costing us $1,600 while we stand around here, and it's just one line. And if they find out, we'll Taft-Hartley you in, and it'll be okay. But just come with me. I said, why did you pick me? She says, because every single time I walk by this room, there's a different voice coming out of it, and it's always you. Animated, voice, whatever I'm talking about. I kind of get into it, So they took me in, and they didn't give me motivation. They said, I want you to say, oh, wonderful, or something like that. And I went, oh, wonderful. And they went, stop. Nope, that's not it. They didn't give me the motivation. They said, this person really does not want to congratulate this person. She really hates this person. It's going to be a half-hearted, you got to say it, but you don't really want to say it. So I said, okay, let's do that again. I did it again. I went, oh my God, you're great at this. You need to get into this career. You need to get into this profession. And I did. I started taking voiceover lessons at that point because it was really fun. It was great.
Yeah.
And I take good direction. I knew what they were talking about, and I quickly fixed it. And it was like, boom, 2 takes and we were done.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's, you go, oh, okay, I missed my calling.
Right.
You're acting once in a while. I haven't in years and years.
Yeah.
Really liked it. Okay, and here's our last photo. And everybody don't go unless you don't want to hear Dee's poem. I'm going to read one of Dee's Star Trek poems after this.
Okay. Yep. And that was our final picture. We got to sit in these guest actor chairs and look at all the monitors. So the directors sat in the chairs that are in front of us, looking at the monitors, and then the set was on the other side of that wall.
Okay. And I have another more thing. Valentine's Day is coming up. If you haven't read my book, please read my book. Available at Amazon. This Valentine's Day, meet a real sweetheart, other than the one you just met. Amy, you are an awesome guest. You are an absolutely awesome guest. Yes.
Thank you. That's so kind of you.
Got a couple of comments. We'd love to have you back. Could I count on you for the week Amy is gone in June to be my
Hannah is gone.
Yeah, for a second I was like, wait, what?
I'm just full of beans here. I guess. She's going to be gone on June 3rd. Do you have anything scheduled? Here we are scheduled.
Let me look. No, doesn't look like it.
Well, I would love to have you.
I do now. I'm putting it in my calendar as we speak. I've got my calendar going.
Thank you. All right. Hannah, did you have any other questions to ask Amy?
No, I think she answered them all.
Her comments, good. Yeah. This has been an absolute delight, Amy.
Thank
as
you.
always. As always.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So,
yeah. Well, thank you for letting me kind of relive that day, because that's, you know, you have those moments in your life where you know, it's like a dream come true, and so to have that experience as from a fan's perspective, but I think I also had the added benefit of being a drama teacher, because then I got to take that experience back and it really helped inform my teaching.
yes.
And so it was not only a benefit to me, but a benefit to all of my students as well. So it was just great experience, and I love sharing it.
A lot of times it feels like it was only yesterday, doesn't it? And then
I know, but it was so long ago. It was like 2004. Oh, you know what I didn't talk about?
What?
So when we first got onto the set, and we're still in our street clothes, we met Scott Bakula. So we were sitting on a bench outside of the stage door, and he comes out and he's like, was introduced to us, and he's like, "Oh, my newest recruits, you better get into your uniforms." And like, he was super personable, and you know, but like his makeup, you could tell that his character had been through something really hard and horrible. And so then he walks away, probably going up to makeup, and out of the door comes this reptilian Zindi in a Nazi uniform. And we were like, oh, what am I seeing? Because this is not, yeah, like that was
part of?
Right, totally new information.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, this is something I absolutely cannot talk about, because, you know, we had signed the non-disclosure agreement, and I'm like, I can't tell anybody about this. I can't even tell my husband about this. And I'm so excited to tell somebody about this. So I had to wait for months until the episode came out. And at the end of the episode, Archer is like blown up and on the ship, like he's running, an explosion, he's thrown, and then when he wakes up, it's the US, but it's all with Nazi Zindi. And that was the cliffhanger to the show. And so I was like, oh, it was amazing.
Let's do a couple more comments. We got John in Atlanta. This guy is an encyclopedia. On Enterprise, I really like the actress Kelley Waymeyer. She played Elizabeth Cutler. Sadly, she passed away in 2003.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, that is really crazy. I don't know what that was, but probably the Nazi thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Seeing that, not being able to talk about it.
I don't know if you want to stick around, Amy, while I read these poems.
I absolutely do.
Certainly are welcome to do that. You too, Hannah. It's called The Big Bird's Dream. This is the first of these Star Trek poems. And I know it's been years and years and years and years and years since anybody's heard it. So I thought I'll read his 3 Star Trek poems in the subsequent Ever News. And then after those are end, I'll probably do The Yellow Balloon, which people have heard about, but may never have heard before. So here it is. And it was the Big Bird's dream, dedicated to all whose hearts follow Star Trek.
Aw.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, there lived a big bird nesting on a play. He thought if he could hatch it and get it on the air, he'd make himself a fortune and build himself a lair. The day finally came and the story was born. He let out a cackle, "No more corn!" He flew from his nest with the play in his claw, certain to sell it, for it had no flaw. The story he hatched within this yarn took place on a ship as big as a barn. Not only that, it was in outer space, far removed from the human race. Its crew searched the universe for worlds unknown, to teach and learn, and not try to own. Not only that, they built a new nation, this time known as the Federation. All of this taking place in the skies on a starship known as the Enterprise. Now, wouldn't you think, with a plot like this, the Big Bird had what couldn't miss? Well, he landed in Burbank on Hollywood Way and headed east to sell his play. Things weren't as easy as he thought they'd be, particularly when dealing with NBC. The Enterprise crew was one of a kind, superb in their work, with good things in mind. Different in color and different in race, green, white, yellow, and one blackface. At first, the black was not to be, till the Big Bird screamed at NBC, "It's either she or I," he began to yell. "Who knows who's going to ring whose bell?" With great reluctance, they agreed to say, "Okay, fellows, we'll do it his way." At a later time, on another day, they'd be the first to boast they went that way. Most who read it said, "This bird is nuts." But there was one among them possessed with guts. "Let's go with this bird, loud and clear. He's saying things people should hear." I have a feeling that was Lucille Ball.
Probably.
"Let's give it a real try and hope it will work." So spoke the head of the big network. So the pilot was made and they all took a look. "My God," one shouted, "he's filmed a book." Another one yelled, it's too far out. I don't understand what it's all about." But the one with guts had a grin on his face. Now he was ready to state his case. "Far out," he said. "I liked what I heard, and I'm still going to go with this crazy bird." So they made it another plot with a change here and there, and finally they got it on the air. The Big Bird felt a sense of elation after so many days of a complete frustration. But now he knew the big job was done, and he was proud of his fine new son. One thing was left for the Big Bird to do: find a name for this dream come true. He gave a big party so the brass would appear to name this dream he held so dear. When the party calmed down and the feeling was mellow, the bird stepped forward to christen this fellow. "Lift your glasses," he said out loud. "I've got a new baby of which I'm proud." He took an ittic from his hand, the symbol he'd created for the change in man. He placed it tenderly around a small neck, and in a mellifluous voice said, "Star Trek." The brass with guts jumped up and down. "My God," he said, "what a sound. How did he think of such a name? It's commercial as hell, the name of the game." Well, the public loved it, but the Nielsen was low, and they tell the networks what to show. The word was out for all to hear: Star Trek dead after second year. The rest is history, as you surely know, for you, the fans, saved the show. The millions of letters you sent to the brass simply knocked them on their ass. But after one more year, they put it away, not knowing it would rise in syndicated play. Then came conventions and letters and toys, reruns and ratings and lots of noise. Finally, the studio was heard to say, "We'll make Star Trek another way." "How will we do it?" one of them said. "Not as a series. The reruns aren't dead." "Let's do it as a movie, a special, or a play. For heaven's sake, let's do it some way. Precious moments are flying by. The actors are aging and soon may die."
Oh no.
Are they still available, or should we recast? Without the originals, how long would it last? Go get the Big Bird. He knows where they are. And have him remind Spock he's still not a star. We've got to keep their egos down in case replacements can't be found. So in flew the Big Bird, ready to squeal, naturally anxious to make a deal. First, he said, we should discuss the star, for all of them probably think they are. "Don't be funny," executive said. "If that's the case, the whole thing's dead." What's with Shatner? How does he look? I don't know, but he's written a book. Seems he wanted the world to know how he suffered making that show. What's with Kelley? What's with his life? He's living in the valley with the very same wife. I know one thing that's bugging him. He's sick of that line. He's dead, Jim. How about Doing, the one with the brogue? Well, he bought a motor coach and hit the road. He's grown a beard. It's silver and black, and he says he wants to keep it if he comes back. What about Takei? He flew the damn ship. Well, he's into politics, a whole new trip. He had a job on the mayor's staff, but they couldn't take that crazy laugh. Okay, what about Nichelle, the one you said would ring our bell? She's working for NASA, goes all over the nation, trying to interest women in the space administration. They're using the Enterprise to colonize space. Can't seem to do it without the female race. And she says she had it in communications and wants to come back in public relations. Well, where the hell's Koenig, our young Russian lad? Oh, he's writing for films, and he's really not bad. As a matter of fact, if he could be found, he could be the one to get this off the ground. That just about covers the entire crew. Majel's no problem. She's married to you. Don't you believe it? Not on your life. I don't make deals with my very own wife. And even though she's married to me, she still commands the same high fee. And if this show goes, she'll be back. You can bet. I've never written a script without her yet. And there's one more actor you left out that I really think we should talk about. I know it's something you hate to discuss because it's going to create quite a fuss. I'm referring to Nimoy and what he has to say. He's in New York doing a play. He's portraying a doctor and says it's a joy. And he might come back if he could play McCoy. McCoy's role, the executive said, my God, man, he's out of his head. Well, I'm telling you, that really takes guts. The brass will think we've all gone nuts. What about Kelley if Spock plays McCoy? He'll just flip if we get another boy. The big bird spoke with that smile on his face, the one he wears when he solved the case. Easy, gentlemen. Don't worry about that. I can fix him in nothing flat. So just relax and calm your fears. I'll paint D green and give him the ears. So that brings us up to where we are today, with thousands of people gathered to say, Star Trek lives. It will not die. When will someone make it fly? Isn't that awesome? Clever guy. He really was a clever guy.
He was.
Yeah. Anyhow, there's two more after that, and they will be in subsequent shows. And I have some other poems that he never did publish that I may read. I don't know. I might have to get some permissions to do that. I don't know who. Dee and Carolyn have both have. Actually, Dee gave me permission. Teresa Victor came to visit him in his hospital, toward the end of his life, and I was in the room with him. And she said, Dee, I would really love to publish your poems. And he goes, no, Chris and I are going to publish my poems. I never got it in writing. So I have the poems, but I don't have it in writing that he gave me permission. And I don't know what kind of a legal, battle that would be. But when I go to the Enterprise flight, if his nephews are there, I might bring it up and see if we can come to some kind of I presume he's their heir since they didn't have children. We might be able to get permission from them or something like that to do something in conjunction with them. But anyhow, I do have several poems he wrote that are just absolutely astonishing, not Star Trek related, that I'd love to share, but I have to find out a way to get permission to do that. I think.
I don't know what you get permission.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So that brings us up to where we are today. Thank you again, everybody. We got John, Janet.
I love that. I'm a doctor, not a lawyer.
Okay, we've got Janet in UK saying, lost the picture here. It's frozen. Uh-oh.
No.
Hope that straightened out. Back now. Oh, good.
Oh, good.
And then, what a great poem. Yeah, absolutely. All three of his poems are hoots. He loved to read them at conventions. because at first when he got on stage, I think it was a little nervous, and he almost always opened with a poem, and then by then he could feel the audience, affection for him, and then after that it was okay. But those first few minutes on stage are always pretty nerve-wracking, and that's usually the way he opened. Was he needed to hear some laughs and some camaraderie before he really got underway. And we've got John saying, thank you, Amy, for coming on the show, and I'm sure everybody else is echoing that.
Well, thank you for having me back, and I still have lots more pictures and stories to share. So
we'll have you back.
We'll definitely have you back, Amy. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you, Hannah. Thank you, Circle. Today she's Circle. Because her camera isn't working. I hope you get that working pretty soon.
Sometimes my laptop just does this. Maybe it's on its last legs.
Uh-oh. Yeah. Well, those of you watching, thank you very much for tuning in. I know a lot of people watch after the fact. On Saturdays, a lot of people are busy, but they come in afterwards, and we get quite a big pickup. Way more people watch it later than watch it live. So I want to welcome all of those people who are going to be coming later. You're very, very welcome. Please share it. If you enjoy it, share it so more people find out about it. Because let's share the joy. This is the place we come to get an uplift, I think, every time. And in this day and age, it's really crucial that we do that.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I will say thank you again to my co-host, to my guest, and to the viewers and listeners. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. Those of you who want to come back. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Can't see it, but I'm waving.